Hello, it's Vicar Ezekiel Grabau, and today is Holy Saturday, the day that we consider Jesus' rest in the tomb. It's worth noting that O Darkest Woe really is a hymn for today. It's useful for Good Friday. We sang it yesterday at our Tenebrae service at 9 p.m., but it is especially considering Jesus' burial and reflecting, yes, upon Jesus' death on the cross, but especially considering Jesus lying dead. And Holy Saturday is a day of vigil, a day of waiting and watching as we consider Jesus' rest in the tomb, a rest that he does to complete the Sabbath for us. This is a wonderful thing that the ancient teachers of the church pointed out, that the perfect keeping of the Sabbath is done in Jesus, for he rests in the tomb. As Jesus rested, as God rested, having created all the world in 6 days, and he rested on the seventh day, so Jesus on the Sabbath, the seventh day, rests in the tomb. And it's a really wonderful thing for us to hold on to, that when we consider those who have died, and even our death, that Jesus suffered even this, even lying in the grave. And so we're never alone, even in the depths of Sheol, as the words of Psalm 139, I believe that is, talk about, where we can't flee, even up to heaven and even down into Sheol, even into the grave. Jesus is there with us. He's experienced all of it. Well, I'm getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, because this final stanza of O Darkest Woe is especially a prayer about our life and death. Let's take a listen to stanza 7.
O Jesus Christ, who sacrificed thy life for lifeless mortals, be my life in death and bring me to heaven's portals.
This stanza is even a little bit different from the previous one. So I noted yesterday with stanza 6 that we have this transition from the poem speaking to us, to you, to speaking now to Jesus. And it's marked by the vocative at the beginning, O Virgin Son. And this one has a similar vocative, O Jesus Christ. But this one is not quite the same as the previous stanza either, because this is actually a prayer all on its own. We have an address, we have a rationale, a reason that we're praying, a sort of description of who Jesus is, and a petition. So let's read these first few lines here. O Jesus Christ, who sacrificed thy life for lifeless mortals. This is a really great summary of a lot of the stuff that we've heard in this hymn. We've actually had a few times where we've cited Ephesians chapter 2 that talks about being dead in our trespasses and children of wrath, and how Jesus gives us life. The Son of God gives us life. And so Jesus is the one who sacrifices his life for lifeless mortals, not just sinful mortals, not just those who have a few imperfections in them, but for those who are dead, who are without life, incapable of doing good works, incapable of loving God even. And yet Jesus gives up his life. And as we heard in stanza 2, giving his life for us gives us life, enlivens us. So let's hear this prayer. Be my life in death, and bring me to heaven's portals. It's a very simple prayer, that even when we die, we're looking at Jesus lying in the tomb, and we're saying, in the midst of our death, O Lord, be our life. That's an amazing, amazing prayer. And it's relying on the promise that Jesus makes in John chapter 11. Jesus is speaking to Martha as they're discussing the death of her brother Lazarus. And Jesus earlier has asked this question of, do you believe that he will be raised, that I can raise him from the dead? And Martha sort of looks off to the future and she says, I believe that in the resurrection, Lazarus will come back from the dead. And Jesus says this, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? Jesus isn't just saying that, later, those people who believe in him will rise from the dead and be alive. They're dead now, but they'll be alive later. No, he's saying something more mind-boggling, more paradoxical, more beautiful than that. He's saying that those who have died aren't dead. He's saying that they are alive. That even the believer who dies in faith doesn't die, but lives in Jesus. And we can explain this lots of ways. We can say things about the soul and the body and how, a person's body dies and their soul goes to be with Jesus in his presence in heaven. But Jesus just insists on their life, just insists that these people are alive. It reminds us of when Jesus comes to heal the little girl and he talks to the mourners and he says, the little girl is not dead, but sleeping. He insists that she is alive. And so this is the case for us, that we believe and have confidence that even in death, we have life, and that we are in Jesus' presence in paradise. That's what Jesus said to the thief on the cross. Today you will be with me in paradise. We're also oftentimes interpret that in ways and say, time for God is different and he dies and he's immediately in the new creation. And I think it's important for us to take Jesus at his word and to say here, when Jesus says today, he means today. That when we die, we're not waiting around. That's not the promise Jesus has made for us. That's not the words that we hear in John chapter 11. We hear the promise that we are yet alive in him and we are with him. That's the kind of thing that we have hope in. That's the kind of thing that we cling to. That even when our bodies lie in the grave, yet Jesus promises that we have life in him. That is what we cling to. And that is the hope that carries us even into death itself. That Jesus has sacrificed his life for us who are lifeless and gives us a life that can never be ended, not even by temporal death. Because our life is found in Jesus Christ, and he can never die again. I have a special surprise for you all tomorrow, because this is a Lenten series, so really it should end today. But I have one more thing that I'd like to share with you. And the choir, who helped me out with this, already know what's coming, but I'll let it be a surprise for you tomorrow morning. God's blessings.